Hello chess friends, this is the round 3 from the Spring Chess Classic 2019 game between the Eric Hansen and the Quang Liem. It starts with the e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, and here Hansen decided not to play d4, which is the main line, so he goes with the bishop on the b5, attacks the knight on c6. After that, Ali goes with the e6 and castle, knight g e7, and here we have rook to e1, a6 after that, and that bishop is under attack on square b5. So Eric needs to decide what to do with this bishop. If he goes back on a4, that can be very dangerous for him, because after that immediately black goes with the moves b5, and after that c4, and this bishop will be trapped. So that's not a good option. So instead of that, he could also take on c6, but he didn't play that. He goes one very deep move with a deep strategy, and he goes back on f1. So d5, opening center, e takes d5, and knight takes to d5. Right now it looks that this rook on the e1 square looks very active. He's on the semi-open file. So here we have d4, knight to f6, bishop to e3, support the center and also increase the pressure on the c6, c5, and c takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop to d7, c4, with idea to control d5 square. That square is very important for black because it's very good square for his knight. So knight to bishop to e7, knight to c3, castle, a3, queen to c7, and b4. As we can see, white is playing with a lot of space on the queen side, so he can start attacking on the queen side. And generally, his idea is to push pawns here, like c5 and control square d6. That's very important for his future attack. So rook fd8, put the rook on the same file with the opponent's queen on the d1. So Eric goes with the queen e2, bishop to d6, targeting h2 square, and after that g3 was played, bishop to e5, rook a d1, h6, rook to d3, simple idea just to make a double rooks. So knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, and here bishop takes d4, rook takes d4, bishop to c6, opening the d file and offer rooks for trade. So on the equal tradings, it's always good to take the second one. So rook from e to d1, and after rook takes d4, rook takes d4, b6 was played. That is a very important move for black because that prevents idea of the c5, and after that d6 is a very good square for the white. So b6 was played. Right now he's not able to play c5. So bishop to g2, offer bishop for trade. Rook to c8, bishop takes c6, queen takes c6, queen to d3. So right now we can see that white is slightly better because he's controlling the only one open file on the board. That file is d file, of course, and he's controlling all squares on that file. So knight to e8, knight to e4, e5 was played and the rook was under attack. So when he moves the rook somewhere, pawn on the c4 is not enough defend. So rook d8, offer rooks for trade. Right now black is not able to take on the square c4 because after that queen takes c4, and after rook takes d4, and the knight on e8 is hanging. So yeah, this one here is hanging. So rook takes d8, queen takes d8, and right now black goes with the move king to f8 to defend the knight. So if we try to take on e4, which looks like equal trading, knight for a knight, but if we go deeper, we can see that knight takes e8, it's a check, and king is forced to go h7. After that, queen takes f7. If the queen give a check, try to create some perpetual check position. So king goes to g2, and after queen e4, white will not go back on the square g1, so he will go with f3, and after queen to e2, king h3, and this king is pretty safe here, so black cannot take any of these pawns. So c4 pawn is also well protected by the queen from the f7 square, and at the queen to f1 he can go up with the king to g4. He looks very safe here. So after queen goes to d8, he goes with the king to f8. After that, queen goes back to d3, king goes to e7 and c5. Offer pawns for trade and also targeting pawn on a6. So b takes c5, knight takes c5. This is a very good square for a knight. He's very active right here. He's attacking the pawn on a6 and also gives support for the square d7. So right now a queen on the c6 square is pinned for defending that. So knight goes to c7. After that, queen to e2 and queen d6, queen to g4, attacks pawn g7. So g6 was played, queen to h4, give a check, g5, block the check and also open the queen for the defend on h6. After that, queen to e4 was played, king f6, a4, king to g7. Black transposed the king from e7 to g7, which looks very safe for his king. King g2 and knight to e8, queen to a8. Obviously, it's clear that white is a bit active, and there is no concrete way to finish the game, but his pieces looks much more active than black. So if we compare position of the two knights, we can see that this knight on the c5 looks much more active than the black knight on e8, and if we compare the position of the queen on a8 and the queen on d6, we can see that this is an attacking piece, queen on a8. She's attacking knight and the pawn here, so she's controlling very good diagonal here. But black queen looks very passive, it's just defending everything. So knight to c7 was played, queen to e4, knight to e8, queen to a8, once again, knight to c7, and here Hansen decided to continue the game, and he's not interested for a draw, so he goes with the queen to f3 instead of the e4, and after that knight goes to e8, wants to repeat the moves. So if he goes with the queen to a8, that would be draw. So a5 he play here. After that, knight to c7, queen to b7, g4, h3, h5, h takes, g4, queen to e4, attack on the g4 square. So queen d4, offer queens for trade. After that, queen to fi, queen d5, give a check, king to h2, queen to d4, still makes pressure on f2 square, so queen is pinned for defending that. Knight to d7, threat some checks here, and also targeting e5. So knight to e8, knight takes e5. Now he's attacking 2 times on the f7 here. So queen to d5, defends f7, queen takes on the g4. So right now white is at 2 pawns up. King to f6, knight to d7, give a check, king to e7, queen c5, knight to c5, sorry, knight is very stable here on the c5 square because he's very well protected by the pawn from b4, and that pawn also is protected by the queen, so everything is connected. Knight to f6, attacking the queen, queen e2, give a check, and also targeting the pawn on the square a6. So king goes to f8, queen takes a6, knight to g4, give a check, so king to g1, knight to e5, queen b7, offer queens for trade. After this check, knight to f3, king goes to g2, and after knight e1, king f1, and white king is pretty safe. So after queen to d1, and nice combination by Eric, and he goes with the queen b8, it's a check, and in this position he simply resign, because whatever he plays he will lose the piece, so he can choose between squares e7 or g7. So if he goes somewhere like king to e7, then white will take a piece with the move queen to e5, it's a check, and he can take the knight on the square e1. So in that position black simply resign here. So Thank you very much for watching this game. I hope you enjoyed and see you in the next video. Bye bye.